This example is one of those number tricks that people use to confuse you. Bev claims he can prove that 3 equals 4. And if that was true, I would say that I have $3 in my bank account. Oh, no, all of a sudden I have 4. And I'd repeat that, and I'd be rich beyond belief. But sadly, the statement is false, so I don't have a whole lot of money. But we need to determine why the statement is false. And it will not be obvious to see which step shows that the statement is false, but it relies on the fact that Bev is assuming that A plus B equals C. That assumption is completely valid because A and B are variables, C is a variable. We can define those any way we want. If we say A is 5 and B is 6, then C would have to be 11, and that assumption would be true. However, it comes down to this last step when we divide both sides by A plus B minus C. Likely still isn't obvious why this makes the proof false, but if we go with A plus B equaling C, we can actually take this and we can get A plus B minus C out of it if we subtract C from both sides. And what we get out of that is that A plus B minus C equals 0. So now to simplify out that last step, instead of saying dividing both sides by A plus B minus C, I could have actually said dividing both sides by 0. Since they are the same thing, A plus B minus C equals 0 tells us that it's 0. Now it may be a little bit closer why this proof is invalid, because we're dividing by 0. If you take a calculator and you take any number and divide it by 0, let's say 7, what happens? Well, you get some kind of error message. Depending on the calculator you have will depend on exactly how it spits it out at you, but it gives you an error message because dividing by 0 is impossible. Technically, the term is undefined, meaning that there is no definition for dividing by 0. If we take 8 and divide it by 4, the definition of 8 divided by 4 is 2. The definition of 16 divided by 8 is 2. The definition of 27 divided by 9 is 3. So anytime we divide and we get an answer out, that is defined. Anytime we divide and we don't get an answer, we get an error message that is undefined. There is no number that 7 divided by 0 works out to. So it's a bit of a trick to see here, and it relies on a couple of steps going through, and that's why I've showed it to you this way. But the error in this proof is that we have divided by 0. And because that's impossible, I mean, yes, we can work out the math and get an answer out of it, but we've done an impossible thing. And by doing an impossible thing here, we have an invalid proof.